And we're live. All right, cool. All right. First YouTube live stream. This is cool.
Woo!
First time we ever live streamed anything, actually, besides the test that we did before. But that's cool. Production values are going through the roof. Brooks doesn't have to spend multiple hours a week putting videos together on his Mac. So that he's excited about that. But welcome back to the DSoG vlog. This is episode 11 after the first week of playoffs of North American LCS. My name is Brooks. My in-game name is Camel Hunt. We're joined here by one of our regular co-hosts and then an irregular co-host.
Irregular.
So go ahead, boys. With your names. Tell us your names.
I'm Ken.
Name.
What is name?
In-game name is Beckrush.
He forgot his name.
He forgot his name. We threw out the name.
That's a little worrisome there for a little bit.
I'm Jared. In-game name Caveman.
Cool. Well,
Are you getting the switches?
Huh?
Are you getting the switches of like who's talking?
No, it should only be showing me. I'll make sure. But yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep going. This is the first time, so if it gets messed up, it's okay.
Production quality going up, but understanding of production going.
We're all learning. We're all learning slowly. All right. Well, how's everyone doing? Are we all good? I'm on spring break, so it's been a nice chill week for me. How's everyone else?
There's no spring break in the real world.
Well, you know what? I'm not there yet, so I'll enjoy it while I can.
There's no spring break in the real world, but I did get today and Monday. No, I have Monday off. I gotta get back to work on Monday, so I got today off. That's nice.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Well, we're a little bit late on talking about last week's professional League of Legends games here in North America, but it was probably will be remembered as one of the most monumental weeks in North America that we've ever had. And I don't mean to say that is like to make it much bigger than it actually is, but it really is. It really was like a very, very big weekend for anyone that did not watch or does not remember. C9 lost to Team Liquid, and TSM.
That wasn't as big of a deal.
TSM lost to Clutch Gaming. So all of the past NALCS split winners are now they're out of playoffs. They cannot win this split, and we are guaranteed a new team to win the North American LCS. That's pretty exciting. That's a pretty big deal for North America in general. But I think we should first talk about the C9 versus TL series because first of all, because we have our resident Cloud9 fanboy here in the form of Jared. And also because I don't feel like this one has been talked about nearly enough. Obviously most of the press and most of the discussion has gone around the TSM Clutch series, but I think that this series was also evident of similar things and has a lot that we can talk about. So yeah, let's go for this one. It was a 3-0 in favor of Team Liquid, but it definitely didn't look like it. C9 started off their early games usually pretty well, but they just couldn't. They would fall apart every other part of the game. So let's talk about this series. What did you guys think of it?
I thought it was not it was a hard series to watch just because I felt like TL was kind of just systematically pulling them apart the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That first game, apart from that first game, which was just like a weird Baron dance for half of the game. But I think that the big point of this series was that they were able to make Jensen like a non-issue. Like he was just like not very meaningful in most of the series. Kind of invisible. Even though he did get to play, I think it was Oriana in 2 games and Rise in 1 game.
Yeah.
which is one of his like comfort champions.
Mhm. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a shame to see C9 see this happen to C9 because they were so good for basically all of the split until like the last
2
what
weeks.
was it like the last like 3 or 4 weeks, and they just like got like really bad. And one of the things that always kind of comes up with C9 when they start losing, and has come up, previously in earlier in this split, and then within the last couple of years, is Reaper's drafting and how he approaches the draft. So, frankly, nothing was too weird in this one except for the Fiora in the second game for Licorice, where he went 1-4 against Impacts Singed. That was really hard to say.
Yeah, that was something.
That was bad. Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
besides that pick though, nothing was that strange out of C9, except for that one. But I think we have a real big question here though surrounding Licorice though, because a lot has been said recently about how he isn't really a tank player. He didn't really play tanks in this series either. He played Gnar 2 games and he played Fiora in 1 game, and really had a pretty poor series. Yeah, it's impact in playoffs, but like
I don't think that's what you say about the series with Licorice. Like, if I were C9, I wouldn't be that upset about this. Jared, you might have more to say about why C9 should or shouldn't be upset, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think Licorice was kind of trained all split in one way. And since he's a rookie, if you train only in one way, that's perfectly fine. Because he's getting groomed for later performance. You know what I mean? So the fact that with what he was trained to do, they made it to playoffs is good for him specifically. The org, you can maybe get a little upset at the mainstays of Sneaky, Smoothie, and Jensen, but as far as their relationship with Licorice, I'd be pleased with what happened.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you go ahead, Jared.
I would not fault Sneaky in this. I think that Sneaky just like popped off, especially that third game.
Too?
I think in the third game and the second game.
I got the stats right here.
Third game.
What was the big Ezreal game? Was that the second or the third?
That was the third game.
Okay,
it was like 6-0-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 6-0-2.
No, I'm not saying that like you should fault them. I'm just saying that if you're going to be upset at Cloud9's performance this year versus previous years, you should get at what stayed and not what's new. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying that like, oh, Sneaky was terrible. I'm just saying that if you're trying to point to a problem, maybe think about what's not different versus what is.
See,
but Sneaky did great. I'm not knocking him. I think they just lost.
That whatever happened this past weekend was going to happen. I think that Cloud9 going into the playoffs has been taking a massive slump. And I think that I'm not sure what it is. I think it might be something outside of the game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just.
It's really weird.
But like looking at the game itself, I just think Liquid was the better team as opposed to C9 doing something wrong. I think that they were the better team that day.
I was going to say I think there's still a few things to talk about with C9, but I don't think we should take away from the fact that Team Liquid did play super good. Like, Doublelift didn't die a single time. And the entire series, like, he wasn't even playing like super hyper carries either. I mean, he was playing Jhin. So he was setting up his team very, very easily. Like he played a phenomenal series, probably some of the best league he's played this split. But I also think that Sneaky did too. So I think the other question with C9, as of recently, is is this a return of good old brothers Vin? Is he back?
I don't think so.
Because it wasn't a great series from him, but I wouldn't say it was a bad series from him. He had maybe one bad game, but besides that, I think it was okay.
I don't think it's. I don't think you look at Svenskeren and right off the first 7 weeks of play. I feel like that's what happens in the playoffs, that people start looking at the teams that are losing and like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe they lost in this way. And then they forget the entire regular split and don't think, well, maybe the regular split, they did some things right, then they did some things wrong in spring playoffs. And ultimately, all they're trying to do is get to Worlds. So maybe they're trying to take the avenue of performing really well in summer split and or winning the summer split to get to Worlds. I mean, different teams have different strategies to accomplish the same end goal. And I think Cloud9 might be looking more for long-term rather than we're going to dominate 2 splits.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that C9, when they put this roster together, I don't think that the first thought that went through the players or Jack or Reaper was that, oh man, this is a roster that's going to win the split.
Yeah.
I think split. It's a good roster, and Jack has said we're not going to change anything, which I think is a really good move.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think they should change anything. But I don't think that this was the immediate thought that came into most people's heads was just like, man, C9 is going to tear it up. They're going to win it all. And yeah.
Everybody thought like, oh my gosh, what's C9 doing? There's no way that they're going to do anything. And then they were in second for so long. And I feel like their regular season dominance and playoff berth is what you look at as victories for the team rather than, oh my gosh, how did Licorice, why did they downgrade from Impact? They've already talked about that at the beginning of the split. So let's focus on the here and now, which is not bad.
I think that another factor in this series was that Smoothie was pretty much relegated to playing Tom Kench and Braum. Yeah. If you think about this differently, where if they had won that game 1 and hadn't have thrown it doing that Baron dance for half an hour.
Yeah. That was weird.
That would have opened up possibly more games for Smoothie to play better supports, because 2 games on Tom and 1 game on Braum in game 3, which I do like that pick into Jhin. I like the Braum into Jhin. I think it stops a lot. That shield pretty much, messes with Jin's ult. But it was, I think, I think they pretty much kept Smoothie. I think their 2 victory conditions were to keep Smoothie from being an MVP and make Jensen not visible, basically. I think that of course you talk about keys to the game beforehand, but I think that the meta that evolved during that series ended up being those 2 points.
Yeah.
Because Licorice and Sven just became pretty much non-issues as well, because those Jensen and Smoothie weren't able to enable it.
Well, the only criticism, I don't have too much criticism on Jensen's proactive play or lack thereof, because like you said, I think they did a really good job of making sure he couldn't do anything. But I, at least from what I can tell, see Smoothie as the macro guy for that team. And you brought up game 1, which looked like C9's game, but then they did that Baron dance for so long, and they kept losing both side lanes while not winning the mid lane. It was a stalemate in the mid lane, and then both top and bot were always getting pushed in, taking a tower and then another tower. And I kind of look at Smoothie and think, aren't you supposed to be better than this? Shouldn't you? You were so much better in the regular season at seeing these kinds of situations and making sure that the bleeding in the side lanes doesn't affect the main objective. And now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just him though. I mean, I think a lot of people try to put that like, oh, Smoothie's like the big voice in this team, and he's like the huge shot caller. And like, yeah, that might be true, but like, you still have to motivate the other 4 people to do what you're saying. And if they disagree, then they're not going to do it. You know what I mean? So it's
right, but like it's the solo queue thing of like when you go for that big play at Baron, right? And then you lose the Baron, and then you're like, okay, well, at least we're not going to lose anything other than the Baron. And then you look at your side waves, and they're all pushed into your towers. And you're like, why didn't someone go catch the side wave? And it literally was happening
in a lot of situations. Yeah, a lot of situations that would have been Licorice's fault because he wasn't catching the side wave, having his teleport available to go wherever the team needed. At least that's usually how the top laner performs in.
Yeah, I think the veterans should have been able to tell Licorice, like, leave us. Like, we'll take it from here, especially with the lead that they had.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Doublelift didn't die once in this series.
Yeah, he didn't die a single time. 0 deaths. He was a monster. Yeah, and then that's a good segue into
holy shit.
Kind of talking about
TL was awesome.
Team Liquid played. Because Team Liquid, for the majority of the split, everybody was just kind of like, it's a toss-up. It's like a 50-50 if this team's going to win or not.
No, this guy, since week 1, has said TL is going to win the split. I just want to point that out. You can go watch all our videos.
Because they have like 3 Immortals members, and that's all you like.
They're going to do it.
I do not think that they are, but I mean, you can think that.
You think 100 days? We'll deal with that later.
Yeah, we'll get there, but I mean, TL played a great series, and they even like I saw multiple tweets from their members where they said hardest best of 3 of my life, basically is what they were like, or hardest 3-0 of my life, because they were like, this was not an easy series for us. Those were hard games. We just won all of them. Basically, we just won 3 in a row. So that's a little bit of humility from it, which I like, but
I would say they were difficult or hard to win, not because like they had to come up with creative ways, but like since they always had to play from behind, that takes an immense amount of like mental fortitude to do 3 times in a row. And I think that's why it was so hard. It wasn't necessarily that they came up with this crazy way to beat C9. I think they knew how to beat C9. They executed it. It was just a very mentally taxing thing to do because of what C9 could accomplish in the early game.
Yeah, and they also they showed a different side of probably one of their more catalyst players being Impact. Because Impact played Swain first game, Cinch second game, Swain last game. This is not Impact's style of play. This is not what people talk about Impact and are like, man, Impact, he's a great Swain player. He really plays those carries well. That's not Impact. Impact is always the guy where you're like, man, that guy plays tanks really, really well, specifically in the playoffs. He's in the playoffs. He's doing the really well part. But
he's one of the best Shen players in the world. Like, he's easily a top 2 Shen player in the world. Like,
who else?
No, you're right. Like, he didn't play Shen though the whole series. That's what the point I'm trying to make is that he didn't play anything.
Yeah.
He played a different side, which is a good sign for Team Liquid moving forward.
Absolutely. Especially if he can play Swain, which is probably going to be 100% pick man for the rest of the playoffs. I think that's really good for TL. That they can always prioritize it on blue side. And if Swain doesn't happen, I think he actually can play tanks. I think that sure. your options in top lane are like tanks or Swain, or Gnar, and Gnar is his other option that he's also really good at. So
yeah,
I think for Scion.
Well, that's a tank.
Yeah,
I think part of the reason why Impact was on, at least in some of the games, is because C9 would ban a bunch of tanks.
Yeah,
and then Impact ended up on the picks that they would consider like secondary picks for Impact, but he was performing.
Swain's broken.
Well.
Like
in the third game. In the third game, C9 banned Ornn, Cho'Gath, and Scion. They did this in every single game.
Yeah,
they banned those 3 champions. Like,
that was weird.
Maybe you just got to question. Like, maybe we need to ban Swain because he's fucking broken. You know what I mean?
I'm not entirely sure why they're banning the Cho'Gath instead of trying to like prioritize it.
That's what I would have expected. Is that
yeah.
either take Swain for themselves, ban Swain, and relegate Impact to the tank that they know they can handle. So like Cho'Gath versus Trundle is a great top lane matchup that if you give Cho'Gath to Impact and Trundle to Licorice, I think Licorice wins that matchup. Like I think that it's just going to work in his favor. And I don't understand why they didn't try to look at what Impact can do and then dismantle it rather than just take him off of it completely and let him do something else that he might be good at, you know?
Yeah. It's a little weird. I don't know.
So
we should probably move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably move on to the next series, but I really hope C9 can, from what I've always seen, C9 always, in every single split, no matter how good they're doing, they always find some part in it where they just start playing like garbage.
Yeah.
I've literally witnessed this over the last 3 years. Every single split, they play so well, and then at some point they just are awful.
Or it's the other way around. Or they play awful until they play good. They're either gonna be shit and then get good, or be great and then get shit.
I don't understand. And I don't know if I would change anything about this roster other than just try again.
I would.
I mean, you've got time. I mean, that's what I look at C9 and I'm like, oh, well, you've got some strong points, and then you've got time to develop other strong points. Why not just keep pushing the envelope?
Yeah,
Licorice is a good player.
Let's move on to the next series, the one that everyone's been talking about. The really, really big one from the past weekend was Clutch Gaming, the 6th-seeded playoff team.
Yes.
Beat TSM, the 3rd-seeded playoff team, and the team that has been to every single NALCS finals and did not make it past quarterfinals this year. So this is a really big deal for North American League of Legends. This is also a big deal because Clutch is a newly franchised team. So that's also very, very cool. We have a franchise team who beat out the Emperor King of NA over the past 3 splits. So that's a really, really big deal. So, but let's talk about this series. A couple stats just to throw them out there. Sven died
15 times.
15 times? And he only died 18 times for the whole split.
Mm-hmm.
18 times for the whole split, and in this series, he died 15.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? That's bad. That's bad.
That's 6. That's no. They played 4 games. So
was this an off series for Sven? Was this an off series? Was he just playing bad, or was Clutch just beating the shit out of him? And that's kind of a big, broader question for the whole team. Was TSM just playing bad, or was Clutch just outplaying?
I think the second. A lot of people are trying to say that, this wasn't just Clutch playing great, it was TSM playing bad. I don't think TSM played necessarily great, but I don't think they lost because they just played bad for 3 games straight. I think maybe if they had played a day after, TSM would have won. But I think if they had played the day before, maybe Clutch would have won as well. I think it was a good matchup between the teams, and the team that showed up and performed better won, which is how most professional sports work. 2 teams of relatively similar caliber show up, and the one that plays better wins. And I think that's what happened today, last week.
Yeah.
Stop giving Hakuo Thresh, for the love of God. Please.
I think this is true. All right. This
God.
Is something I wanted to talk about, but it's true. Hakuo is probably the best Thresh player in the league. The dude is a goddamn monster. On the champion.
I don't know, man.
Very, very good.
My boy. I gotta stick up for Ole's Thresh.
That was the big reason why they were losing. I think it had a lot to do with it, and I think Hakuo set his team up super well, but I don't think it was the only reason why TSM lost.
I think that their style doesn't work. I think somebody talked about, maybe it was the dive or something, where they're talking about Sven and Bjergsen don't work together because on G2, Perks and Sven worked really well because they could trade off who's carrying. Like if Sven got ahead, then Perks was like, all right, well, I'm just going to help feed Sven and we're going to win through him. Or if Perks got ahead, Sven was like, all right, well, I'm just going to help feed Perks and then we're going to win. Whereas TSM plays through Bjergsen. Like it's especially this split has been like, we play through Bjergsen or else. Like that's it. And I don't know why they haven't been like, well, we have this monster ADC and we've got a pretty solid top laner. Why don't we try to play through one of them? But they're like, nope, you guys got leads. You got to throw them at Bjergsen and we're going to win through him.
Haunter didn't have a great series either. Haunter got solo killed by Solo.
Yeah.
Which nobody would have seen that coming.
I'm looking at the whole split as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this series just had a lot to do with like Clutch was playing very, very well. TSM was making a lot of unforced errors. I think Zyrene did his like series breakdown or like match breakdown on one of these, and he like tweeted out. I didn't watch it, but he like tweeted out what he said basically happened. He was like, Clutch was just playing super well. TSM had an absurd amount of like unforced errors, and Clutch just beat them basically. So
I mean, if you're playing against Thresh, you can't get caught out because that's what he does. He in lane he throws hooks, and then out of lane he makes picks. And if you let him make picks because you're caught out, then you lose.
And but the other thing is they also countered the Thresh like multiple times.
The fourth game they played Morgana. They played like the ultimate Thresh counter in Morgana, and it didn't work.
But they couldn't do it. Like it's almost like a little bit of like overconfident. Like I don't want to say overconfidence or like hubris in a way, but they were just like, it's like Vin just needed to say like, I can't do it. You know, just like, I'm just not playing against this champion today. I just can't do it. We've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Let's just ban it. You know, like,
I mean, it's what you do. Like, it's at least it's what I do in solo queues. Like when a champion just like stomps my team and like tilts me, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play another game, but I'm banned that champion.
Even if the champ is like garbage in the meta, you're just like it was like great in the meta, you know, like. So it's like, just ban it. I don't understand. Let's look at some other people on the team that like Sven obviously had a horrible series, but I think Mike Young played okay. You know, he played okay. It's kind of been the story of Mike Young for the whole split. It's like, oh, he's okay. You know, like
I actually would like to.
They lost though. There were some games in the past where it's like Mike Young kind of screwed him on that. You know, like, but he wasn't the reason that they lost.
I'd actually like to transition to talking about Clutch. And Jared, you probably can weigh in on this because you followed Lyra more than anybody else I know, at least personally. How did you feel about Lyra really stepping up this game?
I think Lyra, let's see, it was Sejuani, Skarner, Olaf, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lyra was just like really putting on a clinic with just like showing that he can take over a game with any of these junglers, really. I mean, well, they of course they lost the game 1, but yeah, I've been super impressed by Lyra all through this split. I do think that yeah, I'll say he's probably the best jungler in North America.
That was what I was going to ask. Is has he returned to form as the best jungler?
I think so. He's just I don't know, man. Like he's just like so aggressive.
Because you think about his opponents
he's
forward.
Yeah, he's making these like all-star plays.
Who are they playing?
Yeah, Clutch plays 100 Thieves.
No, they don't. Wait, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, he has to play against Meteos, and then assuming he wins, he has to play against either Smithy or Dardoch. And like in my opinion, those 3 plus Lyra, I mean, we have the 4 best junglers in the 4
I'd say
remaining
so.
teams.
I'd say so for sure. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of interesting. I like it because I like it when the jungle shines. But like, are we at a point where the jungle makes that big of a difference? You know, like, did we get there as the split went on? Because I mean, I would make the case at the beginning of the split that the jungle was the least impactful role, that everything had to do with the laners. And a lot of junglers were saying this for the first like 4 weeks. And then I stopped hearing that narrative. I kept like saying it because I hated what was going on in my personal solo queue games. But looking back at it, like after about week 4, the jungle became more and more impactful. And is that how we got to where we are now? And is part of the reason why
I think
TSM
maybe
the jungle was that impactful.
I think maybe because the picks haven't really changed. You know, like the picks aren't any different.
No.
So like you're not making like champion changes that make something more viable. Like Skarner is popped up in the middle of split, and then Olaf has popped up here at the end and has kind of become permabanned. But like, I think junglers just learned how to play this style, and so I think it's just different than what it was at the end of spring, or basically all of last year. And I think they just have learned to, or at the end of summer last year. I think they just had to adapt. I think they're one of the roles that has to adapt probably more than any other one. And I think they just learned how to play a different jungling style over the course of the 9 weeks.
I think there have been minor changes that make like the mid lane less safe. Like you look at what was it? Like you get rid of the Rise, like the Zonia ult, where it's like you just like get out of a bad gank or something like that.
Yeah,
like getting rid of that is
really
important.
Going away. Tracker's not going away.
Yeah. So those are that's what I'm thinking about with like the jungle becoming more impactful. Yeah, the picks might be the same, but the way that you play it is still more aggressive now. And there's so much more about what the jungler can control on the map than it used to be, because the jungle before Tracker's Knife went away, jungle was basically like a ward bot until team fights happened. And now that Tracker's Knife's gone, it's much more about invading and ganking. But also, as Jared was saying about the mid lane becoming less safe, the mid lane was the most impactful lane role on the map in a way that we really hadn't seen ever before, about how much more impact it made on the map than anybody else, because of how safe it was to push and roam, or to farm and like hold. And now you have to be a lot more intentional. Like it's harder to do that, so it's not as impactful. Yeah. Does that make sense? So it's a lot of the mid lane power and like zone control was gifted to the jungle. Not by changing the picks, but what the jungle can do. And I think that's why we saw what we saw in the TSM match, was that I just think Lyra was better. I mean, game 1, they tried to limit Lyra as much as possible, and then I didn't really see them even trying to go after Lyra in game 2, 3, and 4. It's much more about lane attack. And
I just remember like a super hyped play that Lyra made where he like dove for the TSM bottom lane, like got a double kill, and like he just like turned the Olaf ult on and was like, "I'm coming in," and I was like, "This champion is so hyped to watch," because like the only way you can play Olaf is just by you just like go.
So many of these junglers are just like, I'm just gonna run in and see what happens, you know, like
Zach is the safest jungler. Because you can E in, you launch yourself in, and then if it's a bad situation, you just ult right out.
Olaf is just like, I'm going in, and if I die, I die. Like it's just, I
not even anymore, because they gave him flash. Yeah. Like the way that Predator works, they were like, that's why Olaf's good. Is like you used to have to run Ghost on Olaf to like hit him fast enough.
Do anything,
Then they're like, oh well, we're just gonna give you Predator, and Olaf's like, I don't need Ghost and Predator, so buy Ghost. Now I have Flash, and I can actually be normal.
Yeah.
So
I would also like to. I think Febvin, as far as the all LCS pro teams, I think Febvin got gypped of what should have been first place.
we gave him first, right? I think that was it. Yeah,
we did give him first. I don't think Bjergsen. I think Bjergsen should have been third. Febvin should have been first, and Jensen second.
Bjergsen should not have been first, dude.
He had okay. I just looked at the point spread. Bjergsen had 99 votes. He had 99 votes. Jensen had 62. What the hell?
Who the hell is running this?
I don't know, man.
Oh my god.
I don't know who's voting for Bjergsen. Like, yeah, Bjergsen was great in the last 3-4 weeks of the split, but for literally the entire split, Febvin has been good. The whole thing.
9 weeks of performing is better than 3. I don't care how great those 3 are. The 9, yeah, I think it should have been Febvin, Jensen.
He got chipped, man.
That script sucks.
Script sucks, dude. But I'd like to talk a little bit about how the greater implications of TSM losing.
Yeah.
It's not so much that Clutch as a new org beat him, because I don't see any of the franchised organizations that made it to playoffs really as new. They just have a new name, this is basically Envy with an upgraded top and mid.
Yeah, and
Febvin is no, they're not. Febvin is a mainstay. He has been to Worlds, and then 100 Thieves. No, nobody's new on that team. They're all veterans. The whole team.
Yeah, but every single franchise team has veterans. What are you talking about? What? It's a completely new roster. Envy. I think what you're trying to say makes sense for Clutch because it's 3/5 of Envy, but 100 Thieves is a completely new team. None of those people have played together before.
So would that make Febvin's impact even bigger? Because you take a pretty talented jungler and a solid bot lane with a support who can do really well or pretty well, depending on the meta, and then a top laner who is probably better than Seraph, I'll say that.
Doesn't take much.
I think that
anybody,
just emphasizes how impactful that Febvin is to take a middle to bottom tier team and bring them and beat TSM, and Febvin finishes with, mind you, another fun fact, a 38 KDA. He died once in that series. Once in 4 games.
That is absurd. But what I'm saying about 100 Thieves is that they're not, it's not like they're bringing in all this new talent. It's not like franchising. Oh my God, we're going to franchise, and then all these new teams are going to find new talent to bring into the LCS, and it's going to make everybody better. No, it's just that it's a new name. We did this for years with the relegation system, and the way that the relegation system works, that the lower teams weren't able to really raise the funds that they needed to buy players.
What you're saying is that the players are still winning.
Right.
The organizations are
not. And I think that's
the same players are winning, where the orgs are not. Yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah, but the thing about it, so it's not that important to me that Clutch won, or that we're gonna have a new team be the champion. What really matters to me is that the champion is not going to be TSM, and TSM is not going to be in the finals.
Yeah.
That we now have a competitive League of Legends professional scene, because we didn't before now. We had 3 teams. 3 teams is not a competitive scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. I hated seeing TSM. I liked it when C9 and CLG would make runs, because at least it wasn't TSM. But I am so happy that it's none of them this time, because hey, now we might have a sustainable.
The league. Dynasty has ended. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it has broader implications too, just in terms of sponsorships going to other teams and stuff like that. These other teams could be in a better financial place because they're winning, and not everyone wants to sponsor a team that has all the sponsors. You know what I mean?
It pushes new people looking to enter the league to say oh, so maybe I'm gonna get better reward for my risk by not just going on the team that's always gonna win, because clearly they're not always gonna win. And I think that's great.
Yeah. You have any thoughts, Jerry?
Yeah, it kind of makes me like kind of concerned where it's like we're getting kind of into a super team culture. You know,
Okay.
I think that's inevitable that we're getting to like this super team culture because you look at Liquid. You've got guys who have
They
four
are a
of their
super team.
five have, or wait, no,
Five
three
of
of
their
their
five.
5 have won a North America title.
Okay.
One of their
They've
5
all been
has
to
won a
Worlds.
world title. They've all been to Worlds. Like, how difficult is it to just like throw this team to like I don't
No,
know
I
if it I don't know
think
if
you
it
have a point
takes
there.
I don't know if it takes away from the meaning of like Liquid finally winning a title, but it's like there's something about it I think makes it a little bit less meaningful because it's like you recognize all the faces that are going to be up there holding the trophy if they win.
Yeah. I mean, I want
It's like
Liquid to win, not because I want Liquid to win. I want to win because I want Pope to get a victory.
it's like they have like in the studio like those pictures of past championships and hype moments or whatever. One of them's going to be Double Lift holding the trophy with CLG. One of them's going to be Double Lift holding the trophy with TSM. One of them's going to be Double Lift holding the trophy with Team Liquid, and also featuring Pobelter and Xmithy, who are also on the photo of CLG holding the trophy back with Double Lift.
Well, here's the question: could this affect? Because we're seeing the same players winning every year. Maybe not the same orgs. Now not the same orgs, but like the same players winning every year.
Yeah.
Does this have the like? And when you look at teams with rookies, like say for example, Golden Guardians with Deftly and some of the younger players in the league, or FlyQuest with Onda and I guess sort of Stunt. Does it become like a sustainability issue for getting new people into the league because teams are? I mean, at least in my opinion, I would have figured if I was a team owner and I would have wanted to have a successful season, but I also would have been interested in trying to bring up new people into the league, to bring in rookies, to foster and to get better over the next few years. Basically, in the vein of looking at like super teams, though, is like, do we think that? Where am I going with this? I'm like confusing myself. But like basically, is it going to be difficult for rookies to become successful in the current state of League of Legends because the same players are ending up on teams with other players that are winning, and they're just going to keep winning?
I think it's going to be hard. I think that if you're a younger person, I think it might be easier for you to get burnt out. Like
because you're not going to be winning, and you're just like, well, if I'm not winning, I'm going to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
So then, do you think that's a product of the lack of infrastructure? Or do you think that's a product of people just want to win, or do you think that there aren't enough people, there isn't enough talent to pull from? Like, what's the issue here? I mean, is it? I don't have a whole problem with having a super team win, as long as the other teams can remain competitive and they're only going to win. I think, let's say TL is the super team. Let's say they win this split. Let's say they win the next split. Let's say they stay together next year. I don't think they win next year. Like, it's just, I think people will have figured out how to handle those 5 players, and it goes away. But I also believe that the academy team and the other organizations are all thinking long term about how to groom up their talent to beat those super teams.
My computer's dying. I'll be back.
Okay. So what do you see as the issue and the remedy? Because if you don't agree that I think with the farming aspect, then
the problem is we don't know how long League can sustain itself. So I see no signs of stopping with this whole let's create a super team and win a title now thing. I think that's a problem.
Okay. So
that's kind of what I was looking at too, is the issue of like
how many more years of this do we have?
Say for example, all of the players that are currently, sitting in the semifinals right now, or all the players that made the playoffs, say all of them play until they're 30 years old. When do the viewers stop watching because they're tired of the same teams winning, the same players winning, or when is it that younger players give up on trying to be?
See, I don't think either of those are going to happen. I just think that it's only a matter of time before league starts like losing steam.
Yeah, you think of it more as like video games.
The game itself.
Change.
No, not necessarily like the nature of video games. I think that when is the game itself going to be, what's the word I'm thinking? Like, go the way of like StarCraft.
What do you mean?
Like, StarCraft was huge, and now it's like not really super massively watched. Like it had its time where it was a giant, and now it's just like not
Well,
a giant.
That's because people don't play the game as much anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, look.
So yeah, it's just the nature of video games that a new game comes out every month.
I also think that StarCraft has a huge barrier of entry. Like, that game is so hard to understand.
Well, League is getting there. Like, League is unbelievably not so much to play at like the bronze, silver, gold level, but like to climb. It is becoming so much harder to climb into the higher ranks because of how much time and effort and understanding the upper level of players have and go through to maintain that like people are losing the incentive to play, and so they're going to other games that they can learn and climb onto.
I think that's what's happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like I can learn anything else from League. What I have left to do in League of Legends is just to climb to another rank, and I don't have the time nor really the drive to do it. I'd much rather play something to where I'm like, oh man, this is really cool. I want to try this new thing out. Or, but most of the champs in League is like, well, I've played all these before. I know how all of them work. There's nothing new to learn. I don't know. This has become an interesting discussion that
we started with TSM's going away to man, is everybody going to go away one day? And I think the answer is probably. I don't know. League. I like playing League, and I wouldn't mind putting in the time to learn more and climb, but I don't enjoy it anymore. Like, I used to enjoy it more than interacting with other people who play League. Like, I hate interacting with League players, especially like having played RuneScape for the past 2 weeks, where like I started playing RuneScape, and like people will just come up to me and be like, holy crap, you're new. Here's like some money. And like, what are you working on? I want to help you with that. Like that literally has happened to me 5 times. And in League, if you're new and you need to work on something, everybody like tells you to stop playing the game. Like, just, it's the cultural aspect that I'm like, I don't feel like putting up with this shit anymore.
Yeah. I think it's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting when you compared it to StarCraft, because I think we have to like look to Korea specifically to like really compare games, because I think Korea is usually at like the cutting edge. Like they're playing the new game before everyone else is, or they're playing like the new game. And Korea's always been like a StarCraft.
I mean, StarCraft is still big in Korea. Like, it's their thing, right?
That game came out in like years ago, like 20 something years ago, and they're still playing professional StarCraft too. So I don't know. As far as I see it, as long as League continues to grow in some aspect, that the esports side of it will be okay. But I think you're right that eventually either the MOBA genre will die and MOBAs kind of cease to exist in general, or some new type of game in the MOBA genre that's just better than Dota. One
Hey Brooks, just
It's
so you
just
know,
better.
just so you know, you're cutting out a lot.
I know. I think my internet is having some kind of
So like
difficulties going on.
I have no idea what you just were talking about other than like StarCraft. And
Let's hope that the Google Hangout is getting all of it and it's only Discord issues. So I don't know. It's all still, we're all still figuring it out. But all right, well, can you guys hear me now? Because I can see you.
Yeah.
You guys were cutting out pretty bad there for a little while. But let's go ahead and do predictions for this weekend, and we'll wrap this one up. So we got Clutch playing Hunter.
Oh dear.
yeah, you froze, buddy.
I know. Did you get all right?
All right, Clutch versus 100 Thieves. Who wins? I say 100.
Yeah, I think 100 Thieves wins too.
Yeah.
Mostly because I just really want them to win.
And I'm not saying that like I thought TSM was going to beat Clutch because it was like TSM's just better. I don't think I don't think Clutch is like this bottom tier team or like this like, oh man, they were appropriately placed 6th or whatever. I just think that like 100 Thieves and Prolly are that much like smarter about the game. And I don't think that they're cocky, and I don't think they feel like anything's going to be handed to them. So I think that they're going to beat Clutch, but I don't think it's impossible. I think it's a 3-2 series.
I could see a 3-1, but I don't think it's 3-2. I think 100 Thieves. They could lose one game, but
yeah, I think I've got 100 Thieves 3-1.
Oh. 100 Thieves. It'd be cool if Clutch won though.
I think it'd be ridiculous if Clutch like won the split. Holy shit! Like that'd be crazy.
What matters to me is that when I go to the finals, I will have a jersey to wear, regardless of who plays.
Let me go back on that. I think 100 Thieves 3-2. I think Febiven's going to be tough.
Yeah. Febiven, Lyra, Hakuo, Apollo, they're pretty tough to beat. As a unit.
All right, well, let's.
Yeah. And then I guess that leaves TL C9 or TL Echo. TL C9.
I think TL wins, but I want it to be close.
I think
I don't want TL to just steamroll him. I don't know.
I actually see Echo Fox as the easier matchup than C9.
Yeah, I agree.
I think depending on what Echo Fox shows up, this will have been the real finals.
I don't think so. I think a Smithy and Dardoch are probably about evenly matched, and I think the rest of I think the only lane that is worse on the Liquid side is top. But as long as they don't give Hooney Swain, Liquid can win the game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big top lane matchup. I think that's the biggest thing. Cooney Impact is going to be lit.
It's going to be awesome.
I've been an Echo Fox fan for a while, so I want them to win. But I also want Team Liquid to win the title. So I'm going to go with Team Liquid 3-2. I think this is going to go the distance.
I think this one would be a 3-1. I don't want to say it's a 3-2, but I definitely think it's a 3-1. But I think Team Liquid wins, and then I think 100 Thieves wins it all.
Well,
wow.
I think Liquid wins and 100 Thieves wins, but then Liquid wins it all. So
I'll say that Team Liquid 3-0s 100 Thieves in the finals.
Oh wow! Holy shit!
By God.
I think the Liquid 100 Thieves is a 3-2. Like I think 100 Thieves wins the first 2 games, then Liquid reverse sweeps. But That's
I don't
assuming
know.
they both go. I mean, we could have Clutch Echo Fox in the finals for all we know.
Yeah, that's true. That's
All
true.
these
That's
teams
great.
look really good. I don't want to discount the other teams from the teams that I didn't predict winning from being able to win. They definitely can. They look good. And we lost Brooks. Brooks? No, you're back.
My internet is like fucking up real bad, so I think we gotta
I think we're
call
at
this
the end.
one. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what we're about to see on whatever comes out of this live stream. So we did it though. It happened. We did the first one ever. So that's exciting. That's cool. But thank you guys for tuning in. I think we have 0 viewers. Yeah, we have 0
Probably.
viewers.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Woo! Screeching into the void.
Watch the VOD. But cool. Excited. The games start tomorrow. Today's Friday.
Yeah.
And the games in North America start tomorrow, and then in EU they start in a couple hours.
Tell your friends to watch the predictions so that they know what to watch for coming into this weekend.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. Well,
everybody only cares about predictions. They don't care about the analysis. They're like, "Did you get it right?" No, you didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
All that matters.
TSM fans,
people show up for the predictions and the power rankings, man. That's all they care about.
We should just
all right. We're gonna
like a separate video for predictions and power rankings, and then just scream to the void.
Yeah, actually scream though, like physically. Ah! All right. Well, we're gonna call it there because I have no idea what's going on with this video. But thank you guys for tuning in.